Okay, this is a talk about Elasticsearch and Kibana with using it for C Sharp. This series of videos is going to be geared towards those developers using C Sharp and really wanting to get more out of the logging. This product I started using a few months back at work and have really grown to like it. So I wanted to share with everybody, how to integrate with it and some of the gotchas and other things that I found using it. But it's a really great product set, so I highly recommend people using it. So what we're really going to cover in this first video is we're going to cover Elasticsearch, Kibana, and setting it up on Docker. And that's really what the base that you really just need to get started with working with this, okay? First up is Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch really is just it's just a NoSQL document database, and you can feed JSON data into it. That's really what it is. They're stored in these things called indexes, and possible use cases for it, primarily for us, is logging. So we have structured logging where we integrate with Serilog and feed the logs over. Other things I've used it for is data for searching. So like pre-populating drop-downs, autocompletes, other things like that. It's what using Elasticsearch's transformations. It's really, really, really cool. Um, and I will cover that in this series. Can you interface with it? Yes. Primarily, I've used it with C Sharp, and C Sharp has some NuGet libraries that you can install. Makes it really, really easy to deal with it, talk with it, and do whatever you need to do. I know there are other packages and libraries you can download for like Java or Python, and a myriad of other ones. And other things that you can feed, ways that you can feed data into Elasticsearch is via some plugins. So they have plugins that you can put on like Windows servers to pull in Windows logs. You can also pull logs from IIS, from your Linux box, log files, myriad of other ways. The second thing we're going to look at is Kibana. Kibana is the web UI and other utilities for dealing with indexes. You can use it to manage your indexes, so you can look at them, delete them. You can set up indexing patterns, which I'll get into those in just a moment. You can set up transformations, which I'll cover in a later video. There's a nice discovery utility, and there's also ways to do dashboards. Those we'll also discuss in a later video. I'm not going to bore y'all with PowerPoint. It was just to get y'all somewhat acclimated. But now we're going to set up with Docker. So now let's kill PowerPoint. I'm going to go ahead and open PowerShell. All right, and I'll post these up on the site in order to use it. So, but here's just a series of commands that we run. First one that we're going to run is Elasticsearch, and just fair note, I've already pre-downloaded the Docker images for this, so these are going to spin up fairly quick. So start the first one here. Next up, we're going to launch Kibana. And then the next two, I will cover these in later lessons. I'm just not going to cover them right now, but we do need to spin them up. The first one is logstash. And the second one will be APM server. APM server is really used for application performance management or monitoring. Sorry, my apologies. All right, so it's spun up. So now if we look in Docker dashboard, you can see it. So we can check that Elasticsearch is running by clicking open in browser here. And what that'll do is that opens it up, and you can see the name, the cluster ID, the number, just some various informations, the version, and the tagline. So that's the first one. And then the other one, the one that we really need to look at, and where you'll spend most of your time, at least as far as talking directly to Elasticsearch, is Kibana. So if you click open in browser here, it'll open up on port 5601. And Kibana is really where this is all set up, okay? Okay, and then you can see here that we've got Discover, Dashboard, Canvas, Maps, machine learning, visualize. I got stuff here for enterprise search we won't be covering because it's the open source version. Security and observability, you don't really need to worry about them. For right now, we just need to worry about index management and Kibana, or the stuff right underneath Kibana. All right, the first thing we need to worry about is stack management. All right, and so what stack management allows you to do when in here, you can look at index management. And what index management allows you to do is see your indexes. Okay, so if you highlight them, you can do things, like show the index settings, statistics. Then on top of that, you can delete and flush them and all that. So if you wanted to show index settings, it'll actually show you how the index breaks down. So you can see here that, all the fields that are part of the index. And like I told you earlier, it is JSON data. There's mappings and all that. So that's one. If you want to search, you can type in APM, even though we've only got APMs in here right now because, well, we just do. All right, but in order to use stuff in discovery, you need to set up an index pattern. The reason why we do index patterns is because a lot of times when you create your indexes, you're going to be timestamping in them. So as your indexes are coming in, you'll be timestamped with dates, and then you can set up index lifecycle policies, or your admin will. That will cause the indexes to roll off. So like at work, we keep in our dev environment 7 days worth of indexes. After 7 days, they fall off. We just delete them because after 7 days, we don't really care. But in order to do that, the discovery utility needs to know what kind of pattern that we're talking about. So if we say create index pattern, you can come out here and then you can take a look. So let's create one for APM errors. Okay, so APM asterisk error asterisk, and then you can see that it sees these two. That's really all there is to it. So all you have to do is hit next step. It's gonna tell you a primary time field, and that'll make sense in a minute. In this case, there's timestamp, and a lot of times you'll have something similar if you integrate with Serilog. And then you just click create index pattern, and then it creates your index pattern for you. All right. So now if we come over here to discover, you'll have your index patterns right here where you can take a look. All right. And we don't really have anything incoming. So normally you would start seeing data here. You can increment your times. So by default, you can look at last 15 minutes, or you can say last hour, 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, however long that you're keeping them. So that's really it. You can type in stuff here to search. There's also a deal called KQL. I will not be covering KQL in this video series in order to do this. And dashboards, I'll cover at a later time. Yeah, so that's all there is to it for setting up Elasticsearch and Kibana for you to start logging against it and doing other things with it. So I'll see you in the next video where we cover Serilog and writing to Elasticsearch.